as the NRL joins the Mark Hughes Foundation in the fight against brain cancer this weekend, it's a battle another rugby league family is courageously confronting. Former Knights halfback Scott Dureau was diagnosed with the illness more than 5 years ago, but is still a daily inspiration to everyone at the club.
And that is a little gesture in support of Scott Dureau for their former player who's having tough times back home in Australia.
End of 2012 pre-season, I was playing for the Catalans in France. Had some headaches and trouble with some vision in pre-season. At the end of 2012, come home and had a scan and they found a brain tumour. So January 2013, Professor Charlie Teo operated on me and took the tumour out, and you know, he did an amazing job, and thankfully I was lucky enough to go back and play for another 2 years, and then retired, been involved in coaching, and then unfortunately in November last year I had follow-up scans and tumours had come back. Had surgery again to remove the brain tumours, but unfortunately it spread to my liver. They're quite aggressive, fast-growing, so yeah, the fact I had the scan in February, and then 10 months later, or so 9 months later, there was 6 tumours that had grown back in my brain, from nothing to 6 in a really short space of time.
What was the diagnosis at the time?
So when, at the time, we were, obviously it was, I remember Charlie saying that we got it all at the moment, but the chances are it's going to come back. So, yeah, for then to have the clear brain and then for it to go to the liver, it just, I don't know, it just feels like you take one hit after another. And then, in January, December, just before Christmas, I was told that there's probably no cure and we won't be going to be able to stop it, and that I'll potentially only have 18 months to 2 years to live. So to hear that was pretty confronting. But I guess some part of me just never really believed that. I just always thought that, we're going to find a way.
Mullen left foot kick, it'll bounce okay. Will it? Scott Dureau!
Well, he's barely had a day off. Barely. So he started chemo. To my knowledge, I reckon he's had, apart from going to see the specialist, I reckon since he's been crook, he's had one day when he wasn't in, and that's over a long period of time and a lot of treatment.
Has it been a welcome distraction to have this place to come to and have their support around you?
Absolutely, and now that I can't play anymore, physically can't do that, so to be able to coach and be involved with the clubs, something I'm passionate about, and my home club, Newcastle, as well, so very thankful that they've given me the opportunity to work for the club, and it really is a great distraction. You ready? Up, 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 go.
How much of a blessing is it to have these beautiful girls to come home to every day?
It's amazing, that's what I live for. She thinks I'm all about footy, but it's footy comes second, family comes first. And I love my job, but I love my family even more. And being able to come home and have these girls, crawl or run up to me when I walk in the back gate, and to just see them, smiling or screaming or crying when I get home, it's
going through the motions. Yeah, but that's a special moment.
Just to see them growing up.
Yeah. So you're a nurse by trade.
Yeah.
Has that helped? Has it made this process harder or easier?
I feel like it's made it easier for me. In saying that, though, having kids has made it harder. So the initial time in 2013, it took me a good 2 or 3 years to actually cry about that. After having kids, you sort of heaps more emotional.
You talk about the emotion after being a mother, and do you think that's because the thought of the girls losing their father is terrifying?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it was very hard on Imogen this second time around, because although she doesn't know the full extent of it, she just knew that something wasn't right. And if he had to go to the doctors for scans or anything like that, Imogen would just lose it. She would just scream and cry and just think that he was never coming back. But yeah, she likes to keep Daddy very close, including all night long.
Well, she wants to be close, but I think she knows that her daddy's a fighter, like you seem to know. Where do you think Scott gets that from?
I mean, I don't know. I guess footy's, taught him a lot, Even just in his playing career, he had to fight for his positions and had to fight his way through, and he never gave up. I mean, your fight's as strong as the people around you. So, you know, we're all sort of keeping each other together, and that's what's getting us through.
So after getting your initial diagnosis of 18 months to 2 years to live, you went and saw your specialist this week, and what was the news?
Yeah, so got some good news the other day. It looks like the treatment that I've started 2 months ago is starting to work. It's changed the images and the scans that I've had. It's looking like some things are starting to change. To hear those words was, yeah, it was a really good relief.
Can you share with us how Livy reacted to the news?
I guess at first Liv said, yeah, I think she said, I'm confused. Is that the old scan? Is it the new scan? She said, no, that's the new scan, and it's looking really positive. It looks like there's some really good changes, some changes in a positive way.
We were just so ecstatic because we've sort of learnt that your mind frame and your mindset is just everything in this game and with everything in life. And if you don't believe it and if you don't, you know, relish in every sort of positive moment, then, yeah, you know, nothing good will come of it.
Sometimes we take our health for granted, don't we? And Scotty's a good reminder every day of probably the most important things in life, your health and family first, and then we've got this game called rugby league that sometimes we put above all of it.
I've never heard him ever complain. He always comes in positive, so I'm sure there's days where he's not feeling great, but as a player, you sense that. You know, if he's not in a bad mood, well, what reason is there for anyone else to complain? So yeah, he's really inspiring.
You know, if I'm inspiring them, that's great, and but they're certainly inspiring me. So if I'm not here at the club, I'm at home with my family and my little girls. So yeah, life's pretty good, I suppose.
Thank you so much to Scott, to Libby, to his beautiful girls for sharing his story and his journey so far with cancer, and wonderful to be there just days after he received some positive news. Obviously, he's still in the thick of the battle, but he'll have scans again in 3 months, and it was just so wonderful to hear he is responding to treatment.
And never take a single day for granted.
Yeah. And what a mindset to have. They are such a wonderful, inspiring family, as is Mark Hughes and his family. But yes, they know it's a battle in front of them, but it's one they're willing and ready to fight.